SwissBorg is the official partner of my channel where you can buy, sell, hold, and more importantly stake your cryptocurrencies. You can even earn yield on your stablecoins. Sign up with my link and you'll earn up to $100 worth of their native token CHSB just for depositing €50 worth of crypto. SwissBorg. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's do a carbon copy of yesterday's video, which is more or less what I'm going to do. But you know, these big swings that we do, they can often take time. We look at things on a weekly and a daily. Very rarely do we break it down to a 4-hourly or lower. But even the 4-hourly at the moment doesn't look actually too bad for Bitcoin. But before we start to look at Bitcoin, let's have a look at traditional markets. That's right. We're going to start with Dixie and move on to other currencies and finish off with S&P. Just to hit home the overall analysis of what I've been trying to explain over the last 7 weeks since we told everyone about the top. And expected a bounce around the green 50 exponential. So far, I mean, that's all happening. So nothing's changed really with all of this. The analysis all still stays exactly the same as it was when I told everybody about the Everything Bounce 2.0. So now we're looking for a measly bounce, and that's all we're really looking for the Dixie, a measly bounce. And this should impact everything else, you know. So we're talking everything: stocks, commodities, crypto. Should have an effect. It doesn't have to be directly correlated, but it should have an effect. And I'm looking for this bounce to, you know, so far, you know, what have we done? But less than 1%, I suppose, just short of 1%. You know, excuse me, get a rejection around maybe the 10 exponential, sorry, which is around 107.6. Maybe the Bollinger Band center, which is 108.8. Oh, excuse me. If there was a indicator to dictate the downfall of my family's health, there would definitely be a short signal on there at the moment. There's been a pukeathon last night, a pukeathon at the weekend. I feel I'm quite close to a pukeathon myself, but so far I think it's just psychosomatic. But yeah, I'm definitely going short on my family's health at the moment. Just sickness, that's all, nothing serious. Right, so with the Dixie doing what we thought it was going to do 7 weeks ago, which was come all the way down to here and then bounce, we just let it do its thing, all right? And again, if it does, it's no big deal. We're looking for a rejection at any one of these moving averages based on a weekly. That's fine. But in the short term, we are looking for some further upside. To hit that home, the euro hit basically the major target that we had. Now, I'm up for this continuing in an uptrend generally. So far, there's no reason to dispute that it won't do that, given the fact that we're above parity, which is the main criteria for a super support, we can call it. That support is also backed up now by the Bollinger Band center, and also this ascending support, which is what we were riding back up to parity. So there is a fair bit of support, basically above parity, but at parity as well. So I'm not saying we're going to come back down to parity, but I think we certainly could. But for the moment, this is still an uptrend. Higher highs, higher lows. We have to respect that. So the euro found itself a rejection around 106, which is more or less what we were expecting. And so we should expect a pullback, maybe to basically 102.5. If we start to lose 102, then yeah, parity is the next major area. We give that up, and then yeah, we talk about some serious problems at that point there. This is a weekly showing bearish divergence on the weekly. Fine, it's no big deal. Let's check the daily. I imagine it's just going to look like a standard consolidation sort of thing. Yeah, so no bearish divergence on this. So if anything, it's just a consolidation, and we could get picked up at any number of these supports. There's many below us. So still an uptrend on the euro, but in the very short term, bit of a pullback is required. Japanese yen. So this is dollar to yen. So we're looking for shorts and longs on this one. So opposite to the way that we chart an uptrend. So we knew that there was likely to be a significant top around this zone. That's why we shorted the absolute top, a hero's short, I like to call it. And now look, we're bouncing from a 200 exponential, 200 simple. That's fine. So this has been a big move, all the way from the top to the bottom, a 12% move in a 4x pair over the space of a 7-week period. You got to love that. You know, I certainly loved it. And so now we're looking for this to probably continue, but not without a little bit of a bounce. And again, this was one of the main things to show the pivot for the Dixie. This is one of the main Forex pairs that we said there's a Dixie top. I know I'm boring you all to death with all this, but this is how we managed to get the Everything Bounced 2.0. So, you know, if it wasn't for FTX, we would have got absolutely everything. The Everything Bounced 2.0 excluded crypto because of FTX. But, you know, this is how this was the analysis. You know, this is how we got it. So it's interesting and worthy of looking at before we even start to look at Bitcoin, because this is what governed the overall trend for the last 7 weeks. And yeah, we're looking for any kind of change to that trend, because for the moment, you know, everyone's sort of like looking at positive setups on Bitcoin and altcoins and stuff like that. I see it on Twitter, people say, oh, lots of good setups, and there is, but the main thing is to focus on what's been going on behind those setups, because really, you know, an altcoin setup is nothing in comparison to something like a major Forex trade, which is going to govern the overall global trading environment. Do you know what I mean? So your altcoin may or may not succeed with that setup if there is going to be, you know, a short-term pivot for all these Forex pairs. So I'll be looking for a bit of a bounce, a continuation of a bounce here. We might come back down to revisit this area and then bounce back up to maybe the 200. So we're not looking for any sort of major reversals or anything like that. I'm not looking for, you know, the dollar to recover or anything like that. I'm not looking for Japanese yen to crash. I am actually looking for dollar weakness to continue, but nothing goes in a straight line all the way down. Although, you know, if we look at the Dixie on the monthly, I suppose it does appear that that was the case. I wonder who told anyone. Who told you that? I think I might have told you that, didn't I? I think I told you that. Not many people would have, but I did. So we got the euro, we got the Japanese yen. They're both more or less doing what we expect to see from the Dixie's perspective. So the Dixie's chart reflects both of those, which is nice. And again, it's nothing massive, so we don't have to particularly worry about it. So this is S&P. So we've got our top, and a front run of a top here. We can bounce around any one of these numbers. So we're looking for Bollinger Band Center backed up by a 10 exponential. This is all on a weekly. This is 3939 is where we'll be looking to bounce on this week, and maybe a little lower on this, which is basically 3,900 flat. And if we get picked up from there, we make another attempt at this and probably break it, because at that point there it would be a nice higher high, higher low structure on the short-term time frames, not on the weekly, but on the short-term time frames. I'm not saying that it's definitely the case, but I think there is a very strong case to suggest that the bottom is in for traditional markets. You've heard me say it all. For the last couple of weeks, I've been sort of hinting to that, and each day that goes by, I'm more and more inclined to believe that is the case. So now let's have a look at Bitcoin, shall we? So Bitcoin 4-hour looks reasonable. We're below the Bollinger Band Center, getting a rejection on the 10 exponential. So this is all in favor of a bit further downside, just natural consolidation. We found our 200 exponential on the 4-hourly, where we found our last rejection. So this is all perfectly normal, given the relationship to moving averages while you're this side of them. So we're below these moving averages. These are now super resistances. If we break above them, they should flip to support, like they started to do when we crept out of the descending trend, this descending triangle, and started to move up with the Everything Bounce 2.0, where everybody else has had a great time, and Bitcoin was leading its way up to 26,000 was going to be my target. But FTX chose to not facilitate that. So that's no big deal. We're back outside anyway of this descending triangle. We're sort of looking like an accumulation kind of vibe. But what we're expecting with the Dixie, Euro, Yen, S&P and everybody else is that we are looking for further downside. So it's reasonable to assume that Bitcoin has further downside also. We've got a major support here at 16,000 and also a bit more support just above that, around 16,500, sorry, around here. It's not that far away from where we are right now, so 3.3% is nothing really for Bitcoin. You can imagine that that's actually not likely to hold, although if it did hold, it'd be very bullish, because that's actually quite a timid pullback. Well, that's from where we are right now, at least anyway. If we were to measure it from the peak to that area, yeah, it's about 5.5, but still, it's not a big deal. It's nothing special. So be prepared for further downside, back down to 15. So yeah, I suppose dipping into the 15,000s again in the short term. And again, you know, crypto, Bitcoin, the lot, it's all moving through association with traditional markets. The Everything Bounce 2.0 was based around Forex and would have been felt across the board for everything, which is why I called it an Everything Bounce 2.0, including crypto would have felt, you know, the benefits of that. But As we all know, it didn't, but everything else did. So this is why we're starting with the Forex at the moment. You know, this is why we have to look at that first before we look at anything else, because it is very important. You can see the benefit of actually looking at that before you even start to look at a Bitcoin chart, because whether you're trying to work out where Bitcoin's going in the short or long term, we have to recognize, at least from this last amazing setup that we had 7 weeks ago when we spotted that top on the Dixie, that it was a Forex deal. So the Forex suggests at the moment short-term favor for the dollar. Only short-term, we can judge it day by day to see if certain supports break. I expect them to hold, to be honest with you, but they might break, so we have to monitor it on a daily basis. But for the moment, it all looks quite kind of favourable, really, for further dollar weakness moving towards the end of the year. But we'll see. Like I say, it's a constantly changing environment, the trading environment. You can't just hold one specific bias because you saw, I don't know, a video or one setup somewhere. You do have to monitor many things. I mean, even outside of the charts, we've got all kinds of stuff going on in the world that's going to affect currency pairs. You've got China lockdown, you've got war in Ukraine, you've got all kinds of other stuff that could creep around the corner. Who the hell even knows anymore what the next Black Swan event could be? But based on the charts, it seems reasonable to assume that we're going to see dollar weakness continue, but not for not for these next few days. I think that we're going to see a little bit of a bounce for the Dixie, and that will be felt across commodities, stocks, and crypto. So if that's the case, all eyes on the prize. 16,500, 16,000 flat. We can dip our toes a little lower, but if we do start to close below 16,000, this I think is reasonable to assume we do start to find a new low on Bitcoin. And it's at that point where I'll actually start to think about dollar cost averaging into certain altcoins that I've been talking about since the summer, waiting for capitulation, which this could be the major capitulation, but it doesn't mean we can't find another 20% low from this area, similar to the way we saw that in the last bear market. We saw the huge capitulation. Makes more sense to look at it on a weekly, actually. So you see our big massive dumping crash capitulation dump, which mimics sort of in many ways the so this was obviously your big crashing dump, bang bang, and then another 20% down to finish it off a couple of weeks later. So similar kind of vibe might be taking place around here. So we had a big bang, big crashing bang, and also you see that on the volume profile over here, huge, biggest one in history. This is the biggest one we've ever seen. These sort of things mark capitulations, but it doesn't mean they mark the absolute low. We could have seen the major capitulation, and then we could see ourselves creep down by another 10-20% or so to mark the actual absolute low. So I am getting very interested in picking up some of these altcoins for the long term now. But I'm also not expecting huge turnarounds. I tried to explain this to Patreon members last week, I believe. I suppose XRP is not a great example. ADA was the example I showed, but you can see this with many other coins actually. Coins that have been around in the bear market, at least. Ethereum's a good example as well. So this is what you should be expecting for buying and holding for the long term, right? There's your bear market, boosh, boosh. There's your capitulation, boosh. Actually, no, that wasn't capitulation, was it? Where's the capitulation? 2018. Oh, we don't actually have it on here. What's going on here? What the heck is going on here? What a fine mess that is. Okay, 2019 is where the bull market began anyway. So this is what we're looking at. So we're just focused on bull market stuff. So the bull market begins roughly around here, around March, January. March to April, sorry. So this is where Bitcoin started to power up, and ADA was actually a very powerful coin in that beginnings of the bull market. But let's just have a think about what we see. So we just think about it from here. March, okay, we went up, 100%, we peaked at around 140%, then we came back down again, then we're up again, then we're down again. Look, this is, we'll just put it on a log scale, just to just to give you a better example. Turn off these Bollinger Bands, which often mess everything up a bit. Right, so this is basically the journey of ADA. It was also the journey of Ethereum, the journey of many altcoins throughout a bull market, right? Bull market. Recognize the words bull market, not bull run, bull market. We go up, we go down, we go up, we go down, we go up, we go down, and then finally, 2 to 3 years later, we start to really make some decent gains. Now, the benefit of obviously buying and holding for the long term from what could be a significant low is that you could have got this low, you could have got this low, you could have got any one of these lows. And if you measure that from, let's just say, this low to this peak, you're talking, what, 8,500%. Not too bad. Not too bad. It's all right. You can't complain with that, can you? And if you were to buy, hold, and stake, then I suppose it adds a little extra onto the top. You've been staking for 2 years, and then you sort of get towards the parabolic peak where all the sheep come back into the system again and buying all that ADA off you at high prices. So, you know, this is what you should expect. You know, the expectations of a bull market look very much like that, right? Sideways, really. And if you want to trade it, you can, and we will trade it. But if you're looking to buy and hold anything for a bull market, you have to be prepared for volatility, ups and downs, and sideways. If you're a trader, then you make the most of all of this as well. But if you're buying and holding for the long term, just be prepared. You're not likely to see exponential, huge, massive returns straight away. In fact, you should be prepared to be holding on to something without any major gains for at least a couple of years before really everybody else starts to come back into the system again. So I'm just trying to put it out there, me buying, holding, and staking incrementally as we go down below Bitcoin's previous low that it's just put in a couple of weeks back. Doesn't mean that I'm looking for major gains, so people might think, oh, you just bought that, and 2 weeks later, it's you're not a millionaire yet. That's true, I am not a millionaire from that purchase, at least anyway. But my intentions are not to become a millionaire within 2 weeks. The position that I buy on these buy, hold, stake situations, which are going to present themselves shortly, I would imagine, over the next month or so, are for long-term positions. Investment between a 2 to a 3 year period, and throughout that period I'll be staking. Anyway, I have digressed, but in a long story short, we are looking for downsides in the short term as dollar weakness subsides and we find ourselves moving back up for the Dixie, and we find ourselves getting rejected at any one of these areas that we've highlighted on the charts. On the weekly chart is where the main analysis is most obvious. The daily is pretty tired. The monthly does not look good for Dixie. But either way, like I say, we're looking for a bit of a pivot, so everything go down now and find themselves a support. And if they can contain themselves and remain in some form of higher high, higher low structure, that's Euro, that's Yen, that's S&P, that's I suppose maybe not Bitcoin, but everything else, then it adds more weight to the idea that the bottom is in for traditional markets and accumulation has begun for them, which should also mean accumulation has begun for everything. So we can call it the everything accumulation. That's what we should probably think about calling it. Anyway, no different to the previous weeks. Just wanted to put something out there for those who are looking to buy and hold and stake, and what expectations you should be holding. Maybe I'll make a better, more clearer video about that at some point this week when people aren't puking up all over my stairs. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day and take it easy.